All right, so welcome everybody. I believe it is time. It is 11 o'clock in my part of the world. This is Mark Soberman with NetPix. I'm down here in Texas. Do want to welcome everybody for attending. We've got a very large group here today. This is our first webinar ever for the Dynamic Swing Traders. So we're looking forward to getting all of the information out to you, and of course also giving you a full demonstration, answering all your questions. I guarantee you this is going to be a really good webinar. You're going to learn a lot. We're going to be able to share a lot with you, and I think you're going to see some incredible potential for what you can do with your Forex trading, honestly, literally starting today. So I'll show you what I mean by that as we progress through the webinar. All of us trade live in the markets. There's the whole coaching team, which I'm going to introduce to you right now, as you can see, are live in the markets. I can tell you that probably combined, I don't know, I wouldn't even want to add it up. There's probably 10,000s of trades between all of us. And you just heard from Adnan, or Coach A. He's the developer behind the Dynamic Swing Trader, and I want to tell you a little bit about him because I'll be asking him questions as we go, and he's really the mastermind behind this system. And so I want to introduce you to him a little bit. Some of you may already know him because he's been with us for 2 years. He's been the one doing in our Premier Trader University every week, coming up with the key settings for those of you who are involved in trading on that side, been doing auto trade. But he goes back to 2003, actually been involved in trading for about 11 years now. And he's kind of one of the originals. He started in Forex and has really stayed in Forex the whole time rather than kind of moving around to different places. Before that, and actually during some of the time, he's got an excellent background, worked for Citigroup for a few years, and actually was part of a team of 10 different trading groups or trading teams. Came in first place in a Forex trading contest, probably where he really got this passion ignited. Has worked for Procter & Gamble. Everybody knows Procter & Gamble. 3 years in finance, 3 years in marketing. I always say that Adnan produces the most beautiful spreadsheets that you will see. Very much a technical mind, very detail-oriented, an analyst, and you really have to do that when it comes to developing a Forex system, because I can tell you firsthand, you need to go through thousands of trades to know if you've got something that's going to be stable. So in today's webinar, what we're going to do, as you can see on the screen, is we're going to talk about the path to trading success. We're going to talk about some of the key concepts that we've introduced recently. Then it gets really interesting and exciting because we'll go to the charts. Even better, I'll keep raising the ante. We'll show you what the performances look like for this trading system in 2013 and 2014. And it's going to blow your mind when I show you 2015 so far. We're just, very fortunate to have the kind of volatility that we do right now. And then, of course, roll out to you how you can get started with the Dynamic Swing Trader right away. This is one of the first times, I think, ever that we've done this where people can actually get started same day. So this is what we plan on doing. Like I mentioned, feel free to interact with us, ask us questions as we go. I've got about 100 new people that have jumped on since we started talking, so just encourage you to do that as we move along. All right, so let's continue on here. I want to start with the 3 key steps that we really want you to follow starting today. The cool thing is about 82% of you are involved in Forex, but we really, in the pre-videos that came out before, we tried to break down sort of what the recipe is to be successful in Forex trading. It's not just enough, right, to trade these pairs. It's not just enough to get in there and to buy and to sell. There's some things that really have made a difference for us. And 3 of the key points, number 1 is getting in sync. And the only way you're going to be able to do this getting in sync that I'm talking about is going to be swing trading. So I can tell you point blank that you will be far more successful in Forex trading if you focus on swing trading. Number 2 is trading multiple currency pairs. If you try to just make it on just the euro US dollar, it almost never works for people over any length of time. So one of the most powerful things that we do is, rather than trying to pick what pair is going to be the star in 2015, I like to say we trade them all. Now, we have actually excluded certain pairs because they underperform. And that's the kind of information you all want to know. Why, be in a place which is going to provide the pips. The third thing, and I'm going to show you this in a moment, is what I call the Forex success formula. And I'll sort of break that down for you as we go through this, okay? Now, getting in sync is super important because getting in sync is the thing that is going to enable you to trade in just 10 minutes a day or less, all right? This is super powerful because one of the biggest challenges, we've got people from all over the world here, right? The Forex markets trade 24 hours a day, okay? So a lot of people, when they start out trading Forex, they trade for hours on end. They get alerts, they get texts, they're up all hours of the night, all hours of the day. It's pretty miserable. At first it's fun, and then it gets to the point where it's miserable. And we've all been there. I'm sure all of you as well. And we really do our best to change all that and just focus on literally a few minutes per day. The way that we do that is kind of our secret weapon, which is we let setups happen, and then we come in and take that setup that may have happened 4 hours ago, 8 hours ago, 12 hours ago. And we're able to get on board that same exact setup, I'm going to say 9.8 times out of 10. But what's more important is it actually enables us to sort of have this psychic vision about the market. We actually get to see and respect what just happened recently and work our entries according to what's happening on the chart. It's almost brilliant that we get to do this. And if you were trying to trade every second and every minute of the day, you actually end up in a lot of poor trades, no matter what system that you trade. But using, in a way, this forced discipline, it's amazing how often we're actually able to avoid trades. And when we go to the charts, I'm going to show you some powerful examples of that. Now, the next one is trading multiple currency pairs. This is just beyond critical. All right, you cannot just focus on a single pair or two pairs and expect to be successful, especially when it comes to this type of active trading. All right, we need to invite a lot more pairs to the party. All right, but the only way we're going to do that, how can you trade 17 different pairs unless it's really simple and really easy, and you're not trying to constantly trade every single one every single day? All right, so it's a real relief, I think, to know that you guys can trade all the pairs, still do it in a few minutes per day, and the markets that get hot, we're going to be involved in. The ones that are very quiet will be on the sidelines. We're not going to be perfect. We're going to have losers, but I'm going to talk about this in a moment. The fact is we always have these 2-to-1 ratios, so even if I have one market that's hot and one that's cold, I'm always going to end up ahead of the game. And as you can see, this is a list of the pairs that we focus on right now. And yeah, the euro-US dollar is there. No offense to the euro-US dollar. But there's a whole bunch of other great pairs that are in here that might surprise you. Many times are much more profitable. The most profitable pairs this month are not the euro-US dollar. It's one of the good performers, but it's not the top. All right, so it's really important that you can have exposure across the board here. The success formula, okay, this is really important. We gave to everybody who wanted it, we've been emailing you, etc., our dynamic profit detector, and that was our long-term trend indicator. And I'm going to show you that. We incorporate that. It is one of our key things in the dynamic swing trader. We will never fight the long-term trend, okay? This is one of the key breakthroughs with this formula for the dynamic swing trader. Number two, we look at the intermediate trend, okay? So number one, right, like I said, we're only going to go long when the trend's up, only going to go short when it's down, right? Not too complicated. Then we take a look at the intermediate trend. So we may be in an uptrend, but only if we get the intermediate trend to also agree will we take a trade to the buy side. The third piece that we do with our activator indicator, which I'll show you, is price confirmation. All right, and this is also our getting in sync. It keeps us out of a lot of whipsaws and fakeouts. You can kind of call that the filter. And again, you have to see it on the chart, which we'll do in a moment. So you put everything together, all right, long-term trend plus intermediate trend plus price confirmation, and now you've really stacked the odds in your favor that you're going to have a successful trade. Then you add to that the fact that you're going to be going for twice as many pips as you're going to be risking right out of the gate. Then you add to the fact that when you get to the initial first target, you're going to move your stops to break even. You start to really see how we stack the deck in our favor, all right? The next thing is market structure. We never force the market to conform to hard-coded stops and limits. We had a video on this. There's a lot of systems out there that try to go for fixed targets and risk that rarely can be successful over time, all right? If you're forcing a market to get 100 pips and risk 50, and every single time you trade that, you're going to say do that. It may work in the short term because more than likely you have curve fit all right, to what's happened recently, but it never holds up in the longer term. All right, you have to understand that markets have a personality. Every currency pair has different trading ranges by the day and by the week, and certainly by the month. So when you start to force markets to do what you want them to do, your trading falls apart. That's why we have probably so many people here who may be around break even or losing and not quite at the profitability. So take a look at the volatility in the euro US dollar. This is the average daily since 2006. It's crazy, the difference. I mean, you've had ranges, intraday ranges, as low as 50 pips a day on average and as high as 250. So I ask you, how can you use a fixed target and stop and expect to be successful? You really can't. You have to use market structure. You have to let the market speak to you and the chart speak to you and let that determine where your target's going to be every single time and where your stop's going to be every single time. And that's where the word dynamic comes in with the dynamic swing trader, okay? Every single time we take a trade, and we do these, by the way, on very simple, easy to interpret 4-hour bars, right? Can't be any simpler, but we let the market tell us, hey, your target this time should be 200 pips, and the next trade, it may be 142 pips, and the one after that, it may be 310 pips. All right, we do not dictate to the market what it should do. This is really critical. It will be one of the key pieces that will help you get the kind of performance that you see on the chart here, or I should say on the slide here. All right, this is the benefit of having that consistency, having that ratio of 2 to 1, trading multiple pairs, and using the power of compounding over time. And by the way, notice our risk levels. This is not done with big risk. Okay, we're probably amongst the most conservative Forex traders out there. All right, we believe in risking just a small amount, but doing it over time with very positive reward to risk ratios. All right, you cannot approach your trading like a gambler. This is speculative trading. Okay, you're a speculator. You're looking for short-term moves in your favor. You're looking to have the intermediate, the long-term trend in your favor. You're looking to have price confirmation. You're looking to have a target and a stop that respects what just happened recently. What you're not looking to do is what 9 out of 10 Forex traders do, which is gamble, right? Which is to trade with just risk that's off the charts. All right, we will not do that, and from here forward, none of you will do that. It's a trade, right? It's not a long-term investment. You don't trade Forex to think of it like buying Apple Computer for the next 10 years. Okay, that's not how we do this. We are looking for short-term moves in our favor across multiple currency pairs. All right, so what I'm going to do now is let's look at some charts. I'm going to bring these up, and we're going to switch over here real quick. All right, at first, I'm going to make you a little dizzy because you're going to see that there's a lot of charts here. So most of you probably have never thought or even thought that you could trade all of these pairs that you see on the screen with a single system and in just a few minutes per day. It's really one of the beauties of this system. Adnan, I want to bring you on the mic before I go into a specific chart here. I'm going to start actually with the euro US dollar. I guess I sort of want you to explain the experience a little bit as far as, when you're trading this and you're trading this live and you're just kind of, paging through chart after chart. I mean, how much analysis do you have to do on each chart that you go through?
Well, it depends on the day. Like at most, it takes me 5 minutes. Sometimes I'm just there aren't much to do, so I'm just flipping through charts. It takes me probably 60, 90 seconds to finish my snapshot. So I think the title that says in less than 10 minutes a day is exaggerated. I can do it in less than 5, but I'm good at it. So 10 minutes should be more than enough for the average trader.
No, that's awesome. I mean, and that's the key. We had talked about that. We didn't almost want to overstep it, but just knowing that it's 10 minutes or less, and there's big stretches of time. I'll explain this in a moment, but you've got multiple days where on a currency pair you'll look at it for a split second, and there's just nothing to do. Nothing to do is a great thing because we are only looking for a setup to happen when everything is stacked in our favor. So let me explain a couple of things here to you. The indicator down below is actually an indicator a lot of you already have, and that's our weekly trend indicator. And you notice on the euro US dollar, I'm going to scroll back a little bit. Look how long it stayed magenta. Now, the really great thing about this, almost like the calming effect, is right away, as long as this is magenta, I know that I'm only going to take short setups. So right away, I have just cut out half of the possible trades, and actually, because of the trend, trades are going to probably do me wrong more times than not. Look how far back the Euro-US has stayed with only us taking short trades on the dynamic swing trader. I know about right here, we're going to start to see the flip. So somewhere early April, we went from the buys to the shorts, and we have stayed on the shorts all the time. If you go back, I mean, people probably over the last few months, maybe 60 days, have been talking about the euro and how much it's come down. We've been on the short side for over 8 months, okay, because that's where the odds are. The second indicator is our trend strength indicator. You'll notice that sometimes it's green, sometimes it's red. When we're in a weekly trend that's down, all we really are looking for is when that intermediate has turned red. Then we have an opportunity potentially to go short. So your long term and your intermediate term have to agree with each other, right? They have to be short. Then you've got an indicator up here, which we call our activator line, where pricing has to go below the activator line, and you have to have both your long term and your intermediate term to be in agreement. Once that happens, we can have a setup, all right? And what you're going to see on the chart is this little plus sign. That's always going to be the entry. The smaller dashes are going to be your first target, and then where we're after is the larger dots here, and that's what we call our target 2, all right? Your risk is up here. I really want to point this out because, and I'm going to go more current. This is way back in May. But I want to point out something to you. Here's your risk, okay? And then here's your target. This is 2x, all right? I don't know if that's staying on the screen. It seems to be erasing on me. But anyway, that's 2x overall, okay? That's really important for you to think about. So even if you have a losing trade and you come back with a winning trade and you're just 1-1, right, 50%, you are way ahead because we always use fixed percentage risk. I don't really care if one trade goes for 400 pips and one goes for 200 pips. I treat them exactly the same. All right, so now I hope not to dizzy you. I'm going to go forward a little bit because it's always easier and nicer for you guys to see more current trading, which is always, I think, just more helpful. So I do want to point this one out. I'm not going to go into it in a lot of detail in a moment, but this is an interesting trade. We actually showed this on our video that was back in October because, right now we're talking about the incredible volatility, but there was a time where there was not a lot of volatility, and I want to point out this short trade that we had back in October. 1.2572. It was a large profile trade. It was looking for over 370 pips. And man, that market just went sideways, 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 sideways. Days turning into weeks. But eventually, in December, it hits target. Along the way, and I'm going to talk about this, we have what's called add-on trades. So we actually can catch additional trades to the downside or upside. But the beautiful thing about this would have driven most people absolutely bonkers. Probably would have cost them hundreds, if not thousands of pips, and hopefully they didn't trade with a lot of risk because they did. This just movement alone for a couple months would have been really nightmarish. But in our case, we knew exactly what our plan was no matter what on that trade. So let's kind of break this down a little bit. I'm going to enlarge this a bit and sort of show you a couple things here. Now you're going to notice that I've got this magenta bar. That's when we come in and do what's convenient for us, our morning snapshot. All right, the blue is what I'll consider my evening snapshot. Now that might be the exact inverse for you. That may not be a good time for you, okay? And the beauty of this is you do not need to work to my schedule or Adnan's schedule or any of our team's schedule. It's what works for you. We just like to have a couple checks in 24 hours spread apart as much as possible. The cool thing about this is when I came in on this morning, I had a setup already in place. All right, and notice that everything was given to me. These are 4-hour charts, by the way, okay? Very simple charts. I had an exact entry of 1.2178, and I had an exact target of 1.2092. I'm going to approach this exactly the same way, whether I'm going for 100 pips, 200 pips, 300 pips. If I've decided that I'm going to risk 1%, then I know that when I make my target, if I do, I will make 2% on the trade. If you're more aggressive and you're risking 2% on the trade, then I know that I'm going to make 4% if I hit target. All right, so I go short here. I come in the evening, and basically nothing has changed for me other than I am short this market. All right, the next morning I come in, and I'm underwater, right? That means I'm losing some pips, but look, my stop is up here. So do I panic? Do I freak out? Do I get out? No. Do I reverse the trade because I'm like, oh my God, the trend's going to start going up? No, it's not, right? The long-term trend is clearly down. When I took the trade, the intermediate trade was down. Granted, the intermediate has kind of gone to neutral, but look what ends up happening that same day. I don't catch this in real time, but I come back in the evening here, and I have a chance to catch this on a pullback on a get and sink trade, and we'll talk about how to do that. Rarely do I miss a trade, even if it happens when I'm away from the market. Okay, 'cause these markets tend not to just shoot straight down or straight up. So I end up getting really 2 trades that go to full target. Then I have a situation where we're not getting any real pullbacks through what we call the activator line. So I understand that the market's going down here. And if you knew this in advance, right, and you could psychically predict this, sure, you may take additional shorts. But we're doing this in real time. We want a pullback. We want it to go on the other side of our activator line and then go back in our favor. All right, so then it happens there, as you can see, and we eventually get a new setup. This is from January 13th, so really just over a week ago. Once again, I've got an exact short entry, an exact target 2, an exact protective stop, and I easily have the opportunity to get short. But you know what if your time was this time, 4 hours later? Yes, you can get short. 4 hours later, can you get short? Can you get short? Can you get short? Can you get short? 24 hours to get short on this market. So do you understand again what I mean by getting in sync? Here's an example where I had another setup, an add-on trade, okay, because my trend was down, my intermediate trend turned down, and you have the opportunity potentially to come back and get in sync with that. Now, in this case, you had this big spike. If you guys remember the news, that's a little different. This would be one that would spike down and have the potential to go to target 2, but it didn't get there yet, so I could come back in. So I've got really 8 hours to get on board this short. And if you do, you get the add-on trade that eventually goes to full target. Even if you miss that trade, still look at the trade that you were able to pick up here. All right, this is a trade that goes over 200 pips to the downside. I picked up 2% on my account or up to 4% on my account, just depending upon the risk that I'm willing to take on that. All right, and again, I want to remind you, these are 4-hour charts. This is very relaxed, quiet, easy, comforting trading. Now, this is really cool because we get a short setup that happens in between my morning check and my evening check. Now, remember when I said you guys will have this opportunity to be psychic and not forcing things in real time and not getting alerted and panicking? I realized that I'm going to go ahead and we're going to teach you this. I'm going to place my short below that horizontal line, all right? I'm not going to panic in the short here because the market's actually trading off of the entry. So remember this, I came in yesterday morning, there was no setup. I came in yesterday evening, last night, and said, okay, there's a setup, and the market showed its hand, all right? I love this. I love when this happens. It showed its hand. I placed the trade, which I did, and you know what? This morning I canceled it because look what happened. It ends up taking out the stop area on the chart. So Adnan, I want to bring you back on the mic. I mean, this is something that for me personally with this system happens all the time, and it thrills me every time it happens because it's an amazing filter. I mean, what's your experience with this?
Well, this happens more often than it just surprised me than I think it would. It just surprised me how market structure just, placing the entry stop, just below that wick because it just proved to us on 3 different bars that there's some kind of support there. So placing that entry just a few pips below it would just save you a whole trade. And though this is what we call, and you will learn in the training, this is what we call the art of trading. This is what we call KLA and CLA for those customers that were with us in PTU and previous courses. So never stops amazing me. Never stops amazing me. It's great.
Yeah, you remind me too, I should point out, and in one of our demos, and a lot of people may not have seen that, the market structure. I want you guys to understand that when, for instance, on this short, this system, this software that you guys will have actually goes back and analyzes the previous market structure and determines the best place to place the stop, okay? Because we have tremendous respect for chart swing highs and swing lows. They're amazingly predictable of what's going to happen next. And what we're doing here is it's going ahead, it's not putting a fixed risk up here. It is reading a very important swing high that took place, and it's saying that when you go short here, you need to give it this amount of room based upon something that came before. You're not drawing lines. You're not guessing where that should be. The system is telling us exactly where that should be. And you can see it did take a little bit of, pressure here. But it then takes the calculation of that risk here and says, you know what? Because you've got the long-term trend and the intermediate trend in your favor, there's a really good, strong momentum going. We can literally double that risk zone and make that your target. This is a wonderful thing that happens on each and every trade that you will have. It will always read what's come before. It will always assess the market, and it will determine the best place to put the stop and the target. You'll never have to guess at that. You'll never have to predict that. And it is amazing to me, as you can see, how often, even when a trade goes against us, it'll actually hang in there before it ultimately catches the momentum and goes our way. Now, things are not perfect, all right? We do not want to represent that every trade is just guaranteed to succeed. You guys are sick and tired of seeing things out there like that. I don't need to be the one telling you that story. That doesn't happen, all right? But let me show you a great example that Adam was talking about on the New Zealand US. Exact same everything. Oh, by the way, there are no settings differences. As I go market to market, I want you guys to understand just how stable this method is. And when I show you results from 2013, 2014, 2015, it's zero optimization, zero curve fitting, exact same everything on every single chart. Every single chart's a 4-hour. Every single chart uses all the exact same setups, all right? Remember that. It's really key, all right? So we have this short that took place about a week ago, okay? And easy to get in this trade. I don't care what time of day you came in or night, you were able to get this short. Good for us, right? Well, maybe not, because it ended up spiking out again. That was the big news day. That's the way it goes sometimes. And we hit a stop, all right? So should we get depressed? Should we cry? Should we throw a fit? Absolutely not. Number one, remember, we're only risking 1%, maybe up to 2%. So it's not a big deal overall. But then look what happens here. We get a short setup, and we have multiple opportunities, literally 12 hours to get on board this short, okay? And yesterday morning, we get on board the short, okay? We get in sync. And I came in last night, and I'm feeling pretty good about the trade. I had already hit the target 1 zone, so I was able to move my stop to break even. Well, look what happened. There was a big spike bar that has just taken place recently on almost all the markets, and we zipped down. Lo and behold, look about market structure. Where did it go to, and where did it actually stop the movement? Right at our target 2. Now, this might continue on down lower, but it's always amazing to me how often we will get right to a target, or we'll just hold on from a stop and be able to get this. This is a really sizable move, by the way. Okay, this is about, I think, 175 pips to the downside, but I knew everything to do when I took the trade yesterday morning. I had my target, I had my stop, and I was really confident because despite the fact that I had this trade that lost, let's say I risked 1%, I just made back 2%. So am I doing pretty good on this one for just 2 trades across 17 pairs? Heck yeah. And now I'm done. This is where it gets easy. So tonight when I come in and look at this, I mean, I guess there could be another setup. Knowing the strategy, there won't be. It's 4-hour bars. It's gonna, it's gonna take its time to give me another setup. I just move on to the next pair. So this is what's really compelling and exciting about this. What a lot of people also don't realize is that you guys can trade commodity markets inside the Forex. So I want to share with you one of our favorites, which is the crude oil. Number one, you guys have all been hearing the news about crude oil, right? Especially, again, the last month to 2 months about, oil and how much you're paying per gallon. And most places like here in the U.S. are under $2 a gallon. I know in different places it's higher, but everybody should experience, right, these declines. Look at the trend at the bottom. How long have we been on the short side on crude oil? I mean, I'm back into September, I'm back into August, and I'll stop it. I know it's a little dizzying. We switched over from buys to sell in July. Ever since then, we've only been interested in the short side, and obviously for good reason as I scroll through here. All right, that is the direction we've been trading, and it has been tremendous. That's where the momentum is. It doesn't mean there aren't times where a buy can work in here. There are, all right, but I'm trying to get this 2-to-1 reward risk ratio. So for me to get a 2-to-1 reward risk ratio, I want everything stacked in my favor. I want to know that the bottom is falling out of this market on the long term, and the intermediate term. I want to know that there was a pullback through the activator lines, and then it's coming back down in my way. I also want to know that I can respect the market structure and only project my targets based upon that. I can always get in additional trades. We haven't even covered what we call add-on trades. All right, so let me show you an example here on oil of an add-on trade. All right, so I go short. This is back end of the year. Okay, so really just a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. We have a short set up. It does not happen during my snapshot time. Can I get this short? 4 hours, 8 hours, 12 hours, 16, 20, 24. You get the idea. We almost had 2 days to get on board this short. Now we get another trade while I'm in this short trade that we call an add-on. Okay, because once again, the weekly is down, the intermediate's down, and we had this retracement. All right, I didn't stop out, and it ends up setting up a new entry, target's down here, and risk is also at that 2-to-1 ratio. I had 4, 8, 12, about 16 hours to get on board this add-on trade. I had another add-on trade opportunity here back on January 8th, all right, with an all-new stop, which held on, by the way, perfectly, and then a target, smaller, okay, than the original one, because notice the trend's starting to be smaller, starting to get a little choppier, so it understands that, and it makes sure that it adjusts as we go, all right? You guys can probably see, was there another add-on trade? There was. This was a crazy trade, and I'm not going to say that every add-on is going to go your way. It won't, okay? It just doesn't, but this is not that unusual, where you have an entry, add-on 1, add-on 2, add-on 3, and they all end up going to targets, target there, target there, target there. Oh, very interesting. The last and final target happens to be where this market actually pivoted back the other way. Oh, and take a look. Kind of crazy trade. Have there been any trades recently? No. Why? Number one, the price action is nutty. Number two, you've got the intermediate trend is not agreeing with the long term. We're still looking for shorts on this market, by the way. But how long would it take you to come in this morning and see that there was no trade set up here? You would basically go, no trade set up, right? You don't even have to look at anything because the software will plot for you if there's an entry. But you also know that these aren't agreeing. So you move off this one and move on to the next one. All right, one more example on commodities is gold. All right, this is another tremendous trader, this time on the upside. All right, and you're going to see, you guys can probably start to pick them off on the chart, right, that you've got an entry, you've got an add-on, another add-on, all three going to target. I mean, this certainly helps when we're in a strong trend. This isn't always going to be the case, but realize that we're only taking trades anyway when the trend is really behind us overall. Adnan, I want to bring you on again. I mean, I know that you're very passionate about these add-on trades. I mean, how important do you see these to the trading methodology?
Well, Mark, we talked about this before. The add-ons are, I wouldn't say integral part of the system because you can definitely make a lot of money without them. But if you want to just double your returns, you must trade the add-ons. I just I cannot go without trading the add-ons because hey, you diversify your risk and maximize your return. Who wouldn't want that?
Exactly. Yeah. And you guys control that risk. Remember, I got to remind you again, we are low risk traders. Yeah, I'm excited about this U.S. CAD trade, right? It's going our way. I mean, what a surprise, right? Long term, intermediate term, after a pullback, I get an entry, I get an add-on, and yeah, I'm going to say, look, we're a little lucky, right? Right now, there's a big spike move happening, but it's amazing how often it seems to go the direction of the overall trend on these kind of moves. And even worst case, we only were risking, right, 1%. If you want to risk a half of 1%, you can. All right. I don't want anybody max risking. I don't want anybody getting into trouble like traders did last week when they were 50 to 1 or 100 to 1 or 200 to 1 on the euro franc on the buy side. Even if a trade like that goes against us, which this is a one out of several years, it's not a big deal to us because no one individual trade is ever going to be that important. Our results are powered by a number of pairs across a number of trades over a length of time. But this is the U.S. CAD. Again, no optimization, no curve fitting, and look what's happening on this move. And we've been on the buy side. I'm sorry?
I want to jump in, Mark.
Yeah, go ahead.
You see, on this trade, the reason I love – no, go back, Mark. The reason I love the add-ons is that You see how big the profile of this trade, the main trade, it's about 400 pips. Now, not every trade is going to go all the way, and that's where the power of the add-ons come in, is that it gives you lower profile trades. It just gets you, those. It takes advantage of those little swings, these little, profit. So just what was it like? I think 15 minutes ago we hit the full target on this USD CAD. It's just amazing. It's amazing. So even if this trade doesn't go all the way to the second target and it goes back and breaks us even, we just made 2% on the add-on. Nothing to worry about. Nothing to be sad about.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a great point, because even though this trade looks a lot larger and might look a lot more important than this one, it isn't. We don't discriminate. This trade is just as important to us as this bigger profile one. That's a great point. So let me do this. I'm going to go ahead and switch back over to the PowerPoint, and we can always show some more charts as we go. I mean, it's just, the story is just so compelling. I want to get more information to everybody. And one of the best ways to do that is, let's talk a little bit about performance, okay? And I want, you guys have seen what's happened recently, and I'm going to show you 2015 in a moment. It's really exciting. But what's more important is what has happened over time. So there's a lot kind of going on this chart, and I know that can, with a lot of numbers, you can have some confusion. But I want to point you to the chart on the right-hand side. All right, this is basically over a year, risking 1% per trade, and kind of just following your basically your account moving up over time, all right? And this is not with add-on trades, by the way. This is what are just our main trades, the simplest possible way to trade this. If you are willing to risk a little bit more per trade, which of course means if a trade goes against you, it's a little bit more of a drawdown. So that's why I tell you, you don't need to do this in order to get really compelling results, but you can see just how powerful the returns can be. Again, the main markets only, okay, the main setups only. That's 2014, by the way. Look at 2013. Does it look any different? Not really. It's just as consistent. It's just as steady. All right, and this is made up of, by the way, all of these pairs that you see on the left-hand side, plus some more, because I'd have to scroll to the left to pick them all up. And you can see there's black, there's red. Look, there are markets that lose, there are markets that win on a given month. All right, that's the way that trading works. Okay, but it's all about being on the right side of these markets. Now I'm going to show you this in a moment. We've had tremendous 2015 performance, but go ahead and take a look here now on adding the add-on trades to the situation. So now look at the 1%. We go from here 328% on the main only. If I scroll back up, that was 226. You get what Adnan was saying? Why these are so exciting? You don't have to start with those, but you can see what this does to your potential, right? 867 versus 457. They're both great, but it just again shows you how powerful that can be. I also like to show this because I really want to explain to you why compounding is so important. Starting with 1% risk in January, and you can kind of see the monthlies as they move up for the most part, but there are months that move down a little bit. It happens. Again, this is realistic trading, but there's huge months along the way. There's medium months along the way. There's break-even months along the way, and there's even a couple small red ones along the way. But look at the power of compounding, what it does for you over time on very small risk in the most minimal way of trading this strategy. Do the add-ons, and look what happens. Trading the exact same methodology, very little extra time, and you notice how adding the extra trades did not create more red months. I mean, one more red month, I think, overall. So instead of 2, you've got 3. And actually, the max loss month is actually smaller with the add-ons, but your big months are ridiculous, meaning really good. And then, of course, if you risk 2%, look, it is riskier, right? You're going to have a little bigger drawdowns if things are not going perfectly our way. But still, it never gets ugly. And I bet you these drawdowns are a lot better than most of you guys have experienced in whatever you're trading now. I'm sure you have much bigger drawdowns to show for it, and maybe not have a lot to show for it. So this is what's really compelling about this type of trading. Now take a look at 2015. Risking just 1% per trade, our main trades only are up 16% as of, not even as of today, because we're not even including what's happening on the US CAD, the New Zealand US, etc. That's about 1,600 pips, by the way. 1% is about 100 pips if you're using our type of using, very controlled leverage. If you add the add-on trades, that bumps up to 28%. All right, if you risk 2%, well, just double it up. Again, I am not somebody who's going to tell you, oh, this is going to be the experience every single month. But we will have months like this in 2015. There will be other months like this, and then I fully expect the experience to be just like you just saw across the board. But we do not see huge wipeouts, huge drawdowns, all right, because remember, we're using intermediate, long-term trends. We're only trading after pullbacks. We have a 2-to-1 reward risk ratio. Start to think about all the things that are built into the system that protect you on the downside but will contribute to your upside. So now I want to talk about what you get when you start with the dynamic swing trader. Okay, how to get started, what's included, how you can start to replicate the exact same trades that we're showing you today. Number one, you get all of the software that we showed you. And we go back to that, but this is everything. The long-term indicator, the intermediate, the activator line, which is really critical to the pullbacks. That's the safest entry points. And we call the trade calculator. Calculator way simplifies it, but it is the thing that is actually some brilliant coding by Coach Will that it will analyze previous swing highs and swing lows. And for the first time we've ever had anything like this, I mean, we've been doing this for 19 years. We've never had this technology before. We have the ability to actually read market on a 4-hour chart and determine stop and target based upon that action that has happened before. It's a beautiful thing, all right? It's not based upon like average range. It's literally reading the behavior of the previous market. In addition, you're going to get instant access, by the way, okay? Always in the past, we've always had to ship you things. This is instant access. That's what I mean by starting today. Step-by-step video training. Brian put all this together, worked closely with Adnan. It is really amazing. He's a great teacher. You guys will be able to go through the methodology. It's not that complicated. I mean, the learning curve is going to be fast. You guys can download and install the indicators right away. It's fully compatible on a choice of trading platforms, MetaTrader, NinjaTrader, TradeStation. You can get any and all of these for free if you want. We're going to give you the absolute best markets to trade. We've gone through, and really I say we, but honestly it's been Adnan, many hours, hundreds of hours, days and nights, through hundreds and if not thousands of trades over 2+ years. And we actually did block out some currency pairs that were like, you know what, this is positive, but it's not positive enough. Let's not waste our time. We've got 17 amazing pairs to work with, and it only takes a few minutes per day. So that is what we have you trade, and you can ignore anything else. Now, one of the things that we always do is I'm a huge believer in, yes, I'm going to provide you with an amazing system, great indicators, tremendous trade plans, but I do not believe in just saying, here you go, good luck to you. And if you guys have familiarity with us, you know that we always build an owner's club. This is how we start our relationship. So when you start today, our relationship isn't over. It is just beginning, all right? What we're going to do is every single trading day, 5 days a week, Adnan's going to post a daily expert update. He's going to recap the trades just like you guys are seeing them, right? Everybody's using 4-hour charts. You guys are all going to see the same trades, but he's going to detail for you so you know this, the market, the entry, the targets. This way, especially in the beginning, you know you're doing everything correctly. We're going to give you all the markets that you should be trading. What's even better is you really don't have to do anything different between all the markets because there's no optimizations with this. In addition, the Owners Club has video walkthroughs. Coach Ron has done some great walkthroughs and tutorials, how to put the color indicators on the chart so you can match it up with your snapshot time. As we get questions, we'll post some more videos in there and walkthroughs. Another huge thing we're doing that we've never done before is Adnan and the team is going to have weekly Q&A calls. So he's going to jump in live in the markets, go over the charts, and then have Q&As. And he's even going to do it twice a week for the first month. So again, we're really going to do a lot of hand-holding in the beginning because we want to ensure that you all are doing everything perfectly correctly with the dynamic swing trader so you're getting the kind of results that all of you are after. Now, just to give you an idea again, to remind you, which plans we're talking about, you've got, I'm sure, your favorites here, probably some you haven't traded before, maybe even a couple you haven't even heard of, but you've got plans for all of these, and you guys will be looking at all of these on a daily basis, and it just takes a few seconds to kind of scroll through these. All of these are available to you, and yes, I promise you that we're always looking at other pairs. If something changes and we want to reintroduce a new pair. I mean, you guys have heard what's happened with the franc. You know, that may bring in a couple of those franc pairs once some of the volatility calms down. I mean, we've avoided most of them because, you know, we just don't like trading something that's had an artificial floor. But we're always looking at that, and certainly if there's opportunity, where are you going to find that? In the Owners Club. I mentioned to you how powerful. We haven't done this before on Forex swing trading. We're going to have a live training room and Q&A. So for the first month, think about it, twice a week, log in. You're live with us. You can ask questions right away. You're not going to have frustration because I know I've been on the side of buying systems and I can't ever get an answer. It drives me crazy. You know, with us, you can get an answer literally live, okay? You'll be able to see the charts, go through everything. If you've done anything wrong, you know, we can get that corrected for you. After that, we'll do them on a weekly basis. And don't forget, you guys will have access to the daily updates as well. And you can do it whenever it's convenient for you. We'll make sure we record a lot of these broadcasts. The daily updates are just posted. You just log in anytime that's convenient for you. And remember, the system is not difficult. You guys will be up to speed and really enjoying it. We give everybody 30 days access. This is a standard NetPicks offering to the Owners Club. In the webinar, I'm going to bump that up to 60 days, by the way. It saves you for the 60 days $154. It's normally $77 a month. I've got a lifetime Owners Club that I'm going to offer. You guys have been to our webinars before. Some of you, you know that we really like to sweeten the deal. For those of you here live, there's a huge group here live, but I'm going to offer this, the ability to get the Owners Club zeroed out, meaning you're going to get it forever, and that's probably the best bonus that we have. So we'll talk about that in just a few moments. You guys get instant access, all right? I know a lot of people, you look at this and you're going to be so excited to get going. In the past, I've always had to say, well, 1 to 2 weeks to get your course. The good news now is you can get started right away, get started tomorrow, get started this weekend, get started next week. I mean, whatever works for you, but I'd like you to know that for the first time, we're making everything available to you immediately. Also, we've got the best support, bar none, in the business. If you've worked with us, you know that we're available by chat, by email, by phone. Right? We've got 5 or 6 people of the team here right now answering your questions. I'm sure they've been answering questions as I go through this, all right? So we've got the best support in the business. I want to make sure that you know that we are so confident with the dynamic swing trader that I've removed the risk completely. We've got really what I call 2 guarantees. The first one is that you try the DST. We guarantee that you will be profitable during those first 60 days, or you can return the dynamic swing trader, which when I say DST, just so you know, that's the dynamic swing trader. I am asking you to at least get started. I mean, please, make a little effort, right? Install the indicators, watch the training, make some trades. They can be fake trades. I don't care, but just make that effort. And if for whatever reason you're not showing that you're going to be profitable and then some in the first 60 days, you can return it for a refund. Guarantee number 2 is I know if you'll make the effort, you will love the dynamic swing trader. And I've made this offer before on other courses. If you send me a testimonial, if you tell me your story, we will cut you a check back for $100. And we write a lot of these checks. And I have a feeling I may have to take that part of the guarantee away next time with the DST because I think we're going to get a lot of very positive testimonials and stories. You guys have seen some of them as we've gone through this, the beta testers that we had out there, pretty positive stuff, right? Well, you guys, I think, will be writing me some really nice emails and letters once we get going. But I want to, make sure that you understand that the guarantee is there and we've removed the risk. I mean, we're guaranteeing profitability with the DST, and we can be really confident that that's the case. Now, I told you, I promised you in the emails that I would make it worth your while for being here live. So the first 25 of you that register, purchase today, I'm going to give you lifetime Owners Club. That's worth almost $1,000 per year. Okay, every single attendee will get a $200 discount off the price, which I'll show you in a moment. If you do the full payment, okay, and don't do the payment plan, you will also get the 60-day guarantee bumped up to a 90-day performance guarantee. If for some reason you're a little slow on the keyboard and you're not one of the first 25, I'm still going to give you 60 days in the Owners Club just in case you miss out on lifetime. And we're only doing 250 copies this first release. Yes, we're going to make the DST available again in 2015. It'll probably be about 2 to 3 months from now. But we are going to limit the number of copies because we just need to make sure that we can support everybody with the team that we have, okay? All right, so how much is it going to cost? The typical price if you're brand new to NetPicks is $9.97. If you're a family member, which means you own Keltner Bells, you own Trend Jumper or something else, you will go ahead and get $100 off. However, I promised you that I would knock another $200 off So to own it for life, $797 if you're brand new to NetPicks. If you own one of our other courses, we'll take an additional $100 off to give you the family discount, and it's going to be just $697. There's no required recurring payments. You have the software license for life, the trade plans for life. You do not have to be forced to do any monthly charges. Really exciting. Now, I know some of you may want a payment plan. So I've never offered this before on these swing trading low price courses, but I'm going to go ahead and give you a 2-pay at just $399 if you're brand new to NetPicks, and if you're a family member, you can literally start for $349 today. And it's only 2 payments, by the way. This is not a long payment plan, and you own everything for life. Now, I do want to stress, if you do the full payment, I bump up the lifetime guarantee, not the lifetime guarantee, the performance guarantee to 90 days. And if you're amongst the first 25, you will get the lifetime owners club. So I don't know if we could have made this any more approachable. I know there's always this fear that it's going to be a $1,997 course like a lot of them out there. Simply not the case, right? Extremely affordable. Now, let me give you the link, all right, because you really do need to get started and get yourself enrolled. Be one of the first 25. There's no sense to miss out on that bonus. And I do want to stress it is all in, everything included, okay? Software, trade plans, training, owners club, daily updates, twice a week, live in the market first month, once a week thereafter. First 25 get the lifetime. If you're not the first 25, you still get 2 months in the owners club. When you check out, you'll have the option to add on lifetime. If you're ordering right now, you can decline that. I will tell you here in a few minutes, I'm sure, when that will become something that you're going to want to take, because you're not amongst the first 25. But I will keep an eye on that as we go along, all right? So everything you receive, again, I mean, dynamic swing trading, all the training, the proprietary indicator set, 17 market trade plans, the Owners Club membership, at least 2 months, hopefully lifetime, 2 times a week live training, 1 time a week after we go beyond the first month. Simple and straightforward to learn. I think you guys can see that. 4-hour charts, everything plotted for you on the chart. It's easy. Up to a 90-day performance guarantee, no limits on the support. We support MetaTrader, NinjaTrader, TradeStation. You guys saved the $200 today, as you saw. And this is easily, I think it's better than any $1,997 course you guys have seen out there. But thankfully, you do not need to spend it, and you can really get started for under $400. So again, the link, netpicks.com/getdst. If you need contact information, that is there as well. What I want to do now is to switch over to the Q&A. I'm sure that the guys have been doing a great job staying up to date on all the questions. Adnan, let me bring you on. Have there been any questions that you want to answer on the mic while we're letting the orders start to process through and that sort of thing?
Oh, yeah. There's one gentleman that wants to see how it looks on MT4. So I don't know if you have that pulled up. If not, I can share my screen.
Yeah, I don't have it on mine, so I would
Okay.
be able to transfer it off to you. I have it on mine, but I haven't loaded the DST indicators on it. Do you want me to transfer it to you?
Sure, sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, now I see MetaTrader.
So I prefer white, but you can literally use anything. This is how it looks, and I just want to iterate here. In the very beginning, what you can do is let me make this a little bigger here. No, let's make it a little smaller. Okay, so you can see you can change those. You can go to the properties, change colors and size of the or width of those like plots. It's very easy. You can change the background, make it black. You can customize it a lot more than you can do with TradeStation actually. So this is one of the great features of MT4. What people usually, when they trade this with the beta testers, what they did is basically some of them put the tabs in here so that they can flip from one chart to the next. And we learned something from one of the customers. What he did is basically he traded, for example, let's say he traded the first 7 of those 7 pairs. What he did is just took this, dragged it here. Okay, there's nothing to do on this like on my snapshot right now. He took the Aussie and dragged it here. Okay, there's nothing to do here. He took the cable and dragged it, and he kept on going. He thought, and we do agree that this is a much faster way to do it. So that's one of the most powerful things about MT4. MT4 has if you dig into it, has a lot more capabilities than you think it does. So if you do not have TradeStation, do not feel bad, because I personally started this system with with MT4. The first testing was with MT4, and I don't see how it's any less powerful than TradeStation with this system. I love it. So that's basically the question that we have with MT4.
Cool.
Let's see if we have any more questions. I'll give you the mic though.
Yeah, sure. Well, I think that's the power of just using simpler charts, 4-hour charts. It's just people are very comfortable with those. They've been using those for a long time, and it's really one of the benefits. I do want to talk about the lifetime because there has been a strong surge in orders. So I need to make a decision here, and I'm sort of like thinking in real time, honestly, on what to do. So in fairness, because we went way past the 25 in probably 2 or 3 minutes, what I'm going to do is, what time is it now? It's 1:04 Eastern. I'll basically say another 3 minutes, or let's go to 1:10 p.m. So it's basically 6 more minutes. That's the cutoff for lifetime. We're going to go way beyond the 25, but this is the bigger webinar of the 3 that we have, so I guess that's probably understandable. So if you're placing the order or you're worried about it, you're fine, but you do need to get it in the next 5 minutes. Just to be fair, I do need to cut it off at that point, okay? So just be aware of that. So I know there were some questions on whether somebody was the first 25 or not. There was a lot of people worrying about it. So rather than, I just feel bad drawing a line, I'm going to just do it by time in this case. Yeah, Chris, it says 77 on the Owners Club. So let me tell you what will happen. You have to check out that way. All right, and then Cheryl is going to go in. She's on the webinar working in the background, and she hears me with whatever I'm promising. I'm going to make her life hard here today. But she will go in, and she will remove that from your account. So she will take care of that for everybody who orders. The recurring will get removed, so it's not an issue at all. Okay, so just be aware of that. Adnan, I mean, I know the answer. Okay, never. Great. I'm glad you answered that. These don't repaint. Oh, man, I've traded systems that repaint, and they drive me absolutely bonkers, because then you bring the chart back up and it looks perfect, and you're like, wait a minute, what happened to my short? What happened to my buy? That will not happen with this. I mean, a buy is a buy, a short's a short. There's never any like, oh, should I, is this a short? Is this a buy? I got to guess. There is no guessing. A trade is going to be clear cut whether or not you should be entering, at what price point you should be entering. I will tell you that in the training and ongoing with you working with Coach A and the team, that we're going to teach you how to filter out some trades based upon the getting in sync methodology. We showed you a few examples. So that is one area that you will become a far better trader, once you really start to understand that part. I mean, I think, Adnan, somewhere along the way, even you recently told me that was one of the biggest breakthroughs for you. I think the getting in sync, but also those adjustments around the entries.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to give credit where credit is due is I learned that from you, Mark. I used to be one of those traders that actually have a job at my desk, just trading, looking and waiting for entries, and I go get a coffee and I miss my entry. It used to be so frustrating. And then when I learned the snapshot trading from you, Mark, or let's say net picks as a team, that changed my life. And ever since, all the systems that I develop or test, I must have that in, because I do not believe in robots. They do not work. They do not understand the art of trading. They do not understand any of that. So I need to take the trades, and I do not want to spend much time trading. I want to be what you call the lifestyle trader. So I want to spend as little as 1 or 2 minutes in the morning and 1 or 2 minutes before I sleep, and that's it. And it beats the hell out of our robot. I know people that have robots running that spend more time looking at their charts and how well their robot is doing or functioning than I do trading manually. So this is just a breakthrough for me. And about the art of trading, going to that part of the question, the art of trading makes all the difference for me. I mean, the system does work without the art of trading, which is respecting key level adjustment, key levels and chart levels, basically market structure. Key levels meaning for example, the break euro, if euro is breaking 1.2000, I must respect that, So respecting those levels does make a lot of difference. I think it just bumps my profitability by at least 30 to 50% depending on the pair. So that's not to say that you can't trade this mechanically 100%. You can, but if you want that extra edge, you must respect those. And we teach everything in the Owners Club, and we will have live trading webinars every week where we take you by the hand and show you live examples of how things are being done and traded.
Sure. Yep. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely key. I mean, everybody will come out of this being a far better trader. So let me start to kind of rapid fire here through some of the questions so we don't run out of time. Win-loss ratio, well, the great thing about this methodology, and I want to remind you, is you can actually be worse than 50% on a market and be profitable. But thankfully, just most markets, you're not going to have any problem being above that. I've seen some be as high as 3 out of 4 or 4 out of 5. But we're really, for the most part, we just want to make sure if it's a market that we're trading, have it be above that 50-50, and then make sure, of course, which we do on every setup, have the 2-to-1 reward risk. Somebody else, Bamaud, is asking, where is the stop loss? Well, that's the beauty of this as well. Every single time you put on a trade, you will always know in advance where your stop loss is. I mean, just to kind of remind you on like the chart on the screen, like I think, well, this is the last one we looked at was this US CAD. I knew that my risk was here. I mean, that's where it's going to be. And on my add-on trade, I knew that my risk was here. And it read the prior swing highs and lows to come up with that. So it puts it in a really reassuring place. All right. And I know that I'm going to raise to break even, when I get typically to my target ones. Okay. So all of that is going to be factored into how the methodology is going to work. And that's how you're going to work backwards from that to determine, hey, how do I have a 1% risk, a 2% risk? You need to use the spreadsheet that we provided. I believe it was on video 2, but we'll also provide that in the Owners Club, and that will tell you exactly what size you should use. Greg here said, can we have the link to purchase? Okay, so that's out there. You have that. MT4, we answered that. We would consider this manual trading because you will be placing the trades, but the automated part of it is the fact that you can in advance trade, or I should say enter your target and your stop. So you don't need to wait for that. It's not going to be happening in real time. You can also place your entries in advance. They could fill 12 hours later. You don't need to be there when it executes, all right? Jahan says, is there an additional 77 a month? There's not, as long as you got your order in up to about a minute ago. All right, so we just kind of crossed over that line. Now, if you're coming in late or you're ordering it now, you will still get the 2 months in the Owners Club, and then I would suggest that you maybe add on the lifetime, but we have to draw the line in the sand on the number of lifetimes that we've given away. It's quite a few. All right, so let's just kind of keep going here. Would it be possible would it be possible not to install on my computer but have access to look up on you? No, you need to install it on a system of yours. There are ways, if you're worried about your reliability, I guess there are ways to use like a VPS and things of that nature, but ultimately you do need to install it on a computer. And we get the question sometimes, can I install it on my laptop and my PC? Absolutely, you can do that. All right, just continuing down here, and I'm sure that the guys are answering some of these other questions as I go. How to make watch lists become only 17 pairs. Mine has lots on MT4. Well, what you can do, what we do a lot, and I know Adnan showed you a little bit too, is we'll just have the charts up, like for instance what I'm doing in TradeStation, and I just go up to my window and I just kind of click through each one. I can even on a big screen actually see every single one to even see quickly if there's even a setup. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll look at all of them, I'll scan. If I don't see any kind of plus sign, or if I'm not in a trade, I just move on to the next one. And then if I see that there's some action needed, I'll enlarge it and then make sure I get the detail. So that's quite easy to do. Yeah, Richard, if you were getting an internal server error, my guess is it's just sometimes when we've got a lot of people flooding in at once, the system decides to that there's too many connections. I'm not super technical, but I'm quite sure if you just probably already have, if you just try again or refresh, you'll be okay. All right, let's see, keep going here. Can I open a Forex account with $6,000 and make $150 per day right from the beginning with your system? So Raul, I will never say yes to a question like that because, again, I'm not here to basically just tell you something that you want to hear. I'm not a believer in anybody who says you can make XX per day in your trading because I don't know which days are going to have like the kind of spikes we saw today versus other ones that are just sideways. If you ever try to approach Forex where you're looking for consistency every single day, the same amount, you'll never succeed. Okay, so what we're looking for are the bigger numbers, control drawdown, 2-to-1 reward risk ratio, trading multiple currency pairs. We're going to have some months that are phenomenal, right? I mean, you saw, for instance, in the 6K, if I say that, well, this month we're up, the 28% on 1% risk, you can do the math. You're looking pretty good at that point, right? But if you do the math that you're giving me, you're asking for $3,000 a month on a $6,000 account. Can there be months where you can make 50%? You can. But I'm afraid what you're going to end up doing is, in order to force that, you're going to use 5% risk, 10% risk, and then you're going to be somebody who's turned this into a gamble. So that's the honest answer. Let's see. But I'm surprised not to have Lifetime Owners Club. Yeah, hopefully we explained that. You will have Lifetime Owners Club if you got in on time. Just let us get through answering all that. Dan says, oh, that's nice. I appreciate it. I will say you people are excellent answering questions here. I've seen a lot of webinars. This is the best responsive, well answered. Yeah, we really try to have a lot of team members here, and I hate to skip any, so hopefully we'll get them all covered. Yeah, so Claude, I think you got answered a lot of lifetime questions here. That's the only reason I'm skipping some of them. Okay, so Bettina says, I've traded options and stocks but not Forex. Do I need to get a background in Forex before I start using the system? Well, because you've already traded, you're going to be in pretty good shape. You should be comfortable with markets, with the chart, a buy, a sell, all those type of things. It's just another symbol, all right? It's just one of our coaches, Coach TJ, talks about that a lot. When he talks about comparing trading heating oil to the S&P E-mini, right? It seems like they're completely different, but it's just another symbol. They even have the same ticks. So there is a lot of similarities. One thing you may want to do is you may want to grab our Forex 123 course. Let me give you a link here, Netflix 123, or netflix.com/Forex 123. I think this will be very valuable for you, just to kind of get you used to all the terminology. It is free, by the way. Put together by our team, so I definitely recommend that, and then I think you'll be fine. Mahmoud says, is the indicator set up for all the pairs or specific pairs? So we give you some sample workspaces, but also it's very easy to create a template in MetaTrader, NinjaTrader, TradeStation, so it's always quite simple to go ahead and apply that to a new chart. But we definitely get you up and running, and like I mentioned, because you don't need to use different settings on every single pair, it's actually quite easy to get your workspace going. Quite a bit easier than some of the other systems, I'll be frank, that we've had in the past that do take a lot more setup time. Frederick, really appreciate it. Always awesome to do business with you guys, and likewise, we really appreciate it. I got tons of family buyers in here I could see, so a lot of people who've been with us for a number of years, and always appreciate the incredible loyalty that we have. And same goes for the new people, because I think you'll be part of that team, and you'll be loyal, and we'll be loyal to you in the coming years. How much do you recommend for a Forex account for this program? So Richard, to me, my answer on that is more like, how much can Richard afford to put in as risk capital? Because again, I'm never going to sell you something that's going to guarantee you to get rich quick, and I'm not going to guarantee you that you're going to make X amount of income, and I am going to tell you that this is speculative trading. So I want you to approach this like you're not using rent money, right, or mortgage money. So you need to decide what your risk capital is. That's what's best for you. Honestly, I would think the bare minimum that somebody would want to start with is 1 to 2K. or more. Can you start with less? Of course. I mean, you can trade, micros and just realize it's going to take time. The power of compounding eventually will kick in, and you will start to trade bigger position sizes. But the temptation that people have at every account size is to use all the leverage the brokers are giving you. Like, I knew there were a lot of people in the U.S. who really hated the fact that the regulators, as much as they've really done a lot of bad things on Forex, when they cut the max risk down to 50 to 1, we've never used leverage like that. So even to this day, we don't. So it's never impacted us. So as long as you go about this smart, you can go in at a level that's comfortable with you and just keep that risk under 2%. And the most conservative trader should keep it at 1%. Sorry about the error there, Jack. Hopefully you're not having any issues, but call us if you are, or shoot us an email. Let us help you get the order placed if that's still a situation. Trend Jumper, it's a good question. I mean, we're talking completely different methodology, as you can see. The comparison is, yes, we are trading some of the same pairs, just like if you're talking Keltner Bells, but it kind of ends there. The approach, the methodology is completely different. This is all a 4-hour based system. Trend Jumper typically is mostly focused on daily bars. The profiles are different. Granted, we are going for some pretty big trades, but maybe our trades are more in the 100 pip to 300 pip range. When you're using daily bars, it tends to be larger overall, the profile, so you'll usually get more activity by far with this methodology. So those are some of the differences. You very much could trade them side by side. If you do, however, please keep them very independent from each other. They're not to be crossed over, or you don't want to combine signals or anything like that. Okay, just scrolling down, see a lot of the answers here. Okay, so John's asking this, and then I have an answer to this, but he wants to know, will this work on a 1-hour chart?
Well, we do not support it. It takes a lot of your time, and the results aren't much better. But we do understand that some of the traders just like the activity, and they care about, honestly, some of them care about the activity a lot more than they care about the bottom line. I care about the bottom line and putting as little work as possible. However, from the beta testers, we got some people did actually take it down to smaller time frames, and they said they did well. But like I said, we will not support this. If we get any questions about smaller time frames, we will not be able to, answer back to those, because personally we did not do the testing.
Yeah, we want you guys to be completely confident with the trades that you're taking, and we don't want to take a chance on something that we haven't looked at multi-years. And you certainly can. We will not stop anybody, like Adnan says. I mean, I'm sure people will take this and take the tools and the methodology, and they'll be plugging it into something on the day trading side, and that's fine. And that's all work that if you guys don't mind doing that, then you can certainly do it. And if you want to share it with us, hey, that's cool, and that's great to know. I had a question from David M. McCracken. Yeah, your order, I do see, looks like it did process it. There was that question. John's got a really good question here. It's very timely. With the Swiss move the other day, what are the chances of having a stopping run through and your account gets crippled or killed? And that's a great question. So I'm going to answer that a couple things here. Number one, you may know, or you may have noticed, that we only had one franc cross even in our allotted plans, because we don't really like markets where there are or exists an artificial floor. They never trade with the same volatility. So if we went back and looked at like the Euro franc, it just did not produce like all these other markets, because it was being forced to stay above a certain level, and it was just sort of constantly bouncing along that bottom line level. So it just turned out it was not any markets that we had any real exposure to. Number two, on the franc yen, we were flat because some of the movement before got pretty choppy. I think there's always some people that know what's coming next, and so there was just nothing smooth enough to get a setup. But number three is, if you, let's just say that we were in the Euro franc for whatever reason with us, and we were long, which we wouldn't have been, because actually the trend, I think I showed you guys this on video 3, I believe, or video 2, the trend was clearly down. There was no way we were going to be long. But if we were, the max risk, I had Adnan work this out, if at 1% is on this crazy black swan event, would have been about 6%. So you're not going to wipe out on that. And look, the flip is it could have gone the other way too, but we don't count on that sort of thing. And that's only the second time. 2011 was the last time there was any kind of move like that, and there isn't any other pair that has that artificial, hold on it at this point. So I would just tell people typically stay away from it. You're probably getting emails now from brokers that are suddenly smart to this, and they're taking away a lot of the leverage on some of these pairs. So it was just a non-concern for us, but it's a great question, and that's why we just probably have said 100 times in this webinar, right? Controlled risk, low risk, make your money off multiple pairs on multiple trades. Yeah, I do see some people having technical issues. I hope that that's starting to resolve most of these comments. I'm still about 10 minutes behind on comments, but again, contact us, email us, phone us. I'm sure the guys are super busy on that because there's been some people having some tech issues, but we'll take care of you if you've had any kind of issue. Pat says, how many pairs can you trade with a $5,000 account? All of them, okay? You can trade all the pairs. We actually prefer you trade as many as you can, if not all of them. I understand some of you may choose to scale that back a little bit, but don't make the mistake of, going to like one pair or two pairs. Even if you are scaling it back a handful or cutting it from 17 to 12 for whatever reason, we want to make sure that you guys stay pretty disciplined and pretty spread out across the way, because none of us are smart enough to know what's going to be the hot markets or markets in February and which ones are going to be cool. It's better to be across the board. Okay. Yeah, John, you mentioned like IC Markets. By the way, they came through the Frank thing last week perfectly well. Most of the brokers actually did. There was a couple that were offering too much leverage that struggled a bit with it, but thankfully most of the brokers did not. All right, win-loss ratio I think we've covered. Yeah, David, what you have to do is on the 799, click that link, and hopefully you see that below the button. It says for the payment plans, click the link. So once you click the link, you'll then have on the order form an option to switch it to the 2-pay, all right? Just realize that your guarantee is only 60 days instead of 90 days on the performance guarantee. All right, so Kevin wants to know, do you exit half the position at target 1 or merely use it as a place to move to break even? So Adnan, I'll let you answer that because you've actually looked at it every different possible way. So how would you answer that?
Yeah, well, believe it or not, I did this testing like 3 times. Once where I take the whole position off the table at target 1, and the second time I take half the all the position at target 1, sorry, and then half the position at target 1, half the position at target 2, and then I did test it with taking all the position at target 2 and use target 1 merely as a stop, indicator where if price reaches target 1, that's when we move stop to break even. Now I want to just add here where target 1, we also tested a lot of things. Should target 1 be 100%, like the distance from entry to stop? Should that target be as big as that to move the stop to break even, or should it be 80% of that, or 70% of that, or 110% of that? So many testing that went into this, and we realized that 80% is basically universal. It's what worked in futures. It's what worked in Forex, and that's not to say that other things did not work, but this worked better. So that's, I want to say the short answer, but I got into a little more detail here.
No, it's good. I mean, I want people to understand that you've spent months looking at all the different combinations and iterations of this. That's a lot of hard work and effort, one that nobody else has to do. But we've really tried to position this where we think we've got kind of the ideal way of approaching that. That's been looking at dozens of different possible combinations. Okay, let's continue on here. Yeah, so Raj, to answer your question, in looking at the trend jumper 1, you are looking at some additional pairs, the 4-hour, the fact that I think you just get more frequency. I think that's also something that's nice, and we're very stacked in the trend direction. So some of those things are factors that are going to play very positively, and you have some of those in the trend jumper as well. So it doesn't say that the trend jumper doesn't have that. It's just they happen to be completely unique methodologies, and I fully expect that we'll have people taking both approaches. Minimum bank, I think we've sort of talked about that. Nancy, I work, so can we buy it when you get home? Yeah, you can certainly purchase when you come home. We're not pulling it off the market here for at least the next couple days. There's another webinar tonight and another one tomorrow, so we've got quite a few additional people where those times worked out best. So it'll be available at least through that time. So just be aware of that. Yeah, I know there's some people that maybe have ordered twice and have had some server errors, issues. I'm not really sure exactly what happened or goes on there. And we'll try to figure that out. But if for some reason, a couple of orders got processed through, it'll just put me in a position where I can give Adnan a nice bonus. And hopefully you understand that I am kidding. I'm being sarcastic. We will, of course, credit you back. So Cheryl will see those duplicates, and don't worry if 2 orders went through some reason. We'll go ahead and fix it up for you. Okay, scrolling down. Can the indicator send an email if there's a signal? Yeah, I mean, look, you can have alerts turned on if you want. You can use any of the built-in methodology, or I should say features in the platforms. It's just unnecessary. You actually will do better not catching every setup in real time. Let the charts kind of play themselves out a little bit. Let them show their hand. If you're a card player, you kind of know what I mean. Then you guys come back in no more than twice in 24 hours, and you will do far better. One, your life will be a lot better. It's a hell of a lot easier to trade, but you also will get better results. So I would just strongly encourage you not to inform yourself the way you're asking. Let's see. Nolan says, I've just set my account with you. Cannot take advantage of your Lifetime Owners Club. I've used a different account to pay for it. Could you give me a way to do this? Yeah, Nolan, just contact us. Just say, hey, can you add on the upgrade to the Lifetime? So email us, call us. I'm sure the phones are crazy right now in the emails, so be a little patient, but that's what I would do. I'd probably say just shoot an email, honestly, and then they'll get back to you as soon as possible on that. Yeah, so how does you handle a trade that triggers in a time when you're not watching and it never pulls back? So this is a good question, Anthony. You will not capture 100% of the trades. It's just the reality that there is going to be a good trade that you miss. But likewise, there's going to be bad trades that you miss. So what I would tell you is just let it go. Don't worry about it. Realize that sometimes, an entry happens and it spikes and it goes to target. Then just remind yourself what happened probably yesterday where there was a trade that you avoided that, would have been something that would not have worked out your way. So don't worry about it. It's not going to happen on a regular basis, but it does happen. And it's all built into the system. Like the results that we're showing you are not based upon you capturing every trade at the perfect time. Adnan went through it with the exact same rules, fully knowing that he was going to miss just as many trades as you guys miss, good and bad. So it's a non-concern. Okay, I think I'm scrolling down. Any possibilities of supporting linked accounts in the near future? It's something we'll look into, but I would say at this point, this is a self-traded methodology. So for now, I'm going to say no, but things can change in the future. Rodney, you can work with it on stocks and futures if you want. We just can make no guarantees that it could be amazing, it could be terrible. A lot of what's built behind this is very encouraging. It would not surprise me at all that we'll start getting emails from people on different kinds of markets doing completely different things, telling us how well it works. We see that on a lot of our systems. We just don't have the experience to know one way or the other. We've been focused exclusively on Forex. Okay, I haven't traded yet. Surely will in the not so distant future. How can I get the training in the meantime? Yeah, okay, so if you can't afford the pricing right now, I understand. We have the payment plan, but please don't force yourself to spend money you don't have. Just when you're in a better financial position, maybe the next time we release this, 3 months from now, 2-3 months from now, maybe come in at that point. Go ahead and download the netpix.com/forex123. However, I think that would be really valuable for you, and it's free. So go through that course. It's a multi-hour video-based course. You'll be such a better trader. A lot of these concepts that we even talk about, we start to introduce there. So all it costs you is putting in an email, I guess. So I would say definitely do that. Yeah, Danish currency may also be pegged. Yeah, so right now we don't have anything in that side, so not an issue. But yeah, it's something that we need to always be aware of. If some other kind of pegging to a currency happens, it'll probably end up falling off our list. Yeah, you should trade with micros if you have a smaller. We're not a broker, so you go do all the pairs off from micro lots. But as long as your broker trades micros, they will probably have most of the pairs. You're right, though, that there may be some brokers who don't support certain pairs, even a certain a handful of pairs in our list, and that's okay. you should still be able to trade the majority of them. What kind of leverage did you use? Well, consider the performance. We were using 1% risk or 2% risk. I'm not good at calculating back from the leverage, but I'm going to say more than likely, oh gosh, I mean, nowhere close to 50 to 1s, 25 to 1s. I mean, it's got to be under 10 to 1 typically, just based upon that kind of risk that we use. Raj says, how is drawdown managed across the 17 pairs? How does one decide to stay in a market or exit for a while? You need to be in the markets as they set up. If you start to take subjective positions, then we don't know what's going to happen, right? The fact is that when certain markets get really choppy and they're giving a lot of cross currents, you're going to find there's not a lot of setups in those pairs. So it's completely common for us not to have an open trade in the majority of the pairs. It is common for us to have an open trade in some set of pairs almost all the time, so you won't be bored, trust me. But you're not going to have trades in 17 different pairs at one time. So that's naturally going to keep you in the markets and out of the markets based upon day-to-day volatility anyway. So you do need to commit yourself, though, to trading consistently and not starting to guess what might work and what might not. Because I'll be honest, I have no idea when I take a trade if that's going to be the one that's going to work or not, because I've been doing this for 19 years. If I told you how many times I was wrong about the trade that was going to work and the one that was going to work, I was sure of it, that didn't, I've all learned that, it's just a guessing game at that point. I'm not trading to guess, so I'm going to go ahead and trust in my system that has shown me that it puts the odds in my favor, that shows me that I've got the right reward-risk ratio, and I don't want to override that. So what was the conclusion on what were best on exits after all the reiterations? Well, obviously, what we did is we determined that by reading the market behavior previously, where it placed swing highs and swing lows, so where it set a support point or resistance point, that ultimately was going to be our best stop. From using all kinds of things from ranges to average true ranges to mechanical, that was the most adaptive and dynamic place to set the stop, and then also the best place for us to put our target. 1 hour time frame we answered. You're welcome to use it on any time frame you want, but what we're supporting and stand behind now is the 4 hour. Let's see, trades. Yeah, so the trades are made up of a combination of historical backtest as well as real account trading. So both. We wanted to make sure, like, we didn't have this obviously developed back in 2013. It's been underway for a little bit over a year now, but we wanted to make sure that if we went back to 2013 or even before that, the same behaviors would hold up, and there's just no question. 2014 was actually one of the hardest years, and we had a very, very good year with the methodology. You can see when 2015 so far is a little bit more normal to what we experienced back in 2013, 2012, 2011. It's quite good. But the good news is even in a tough year for ranges like 2014, we did just fine, and that's because it will reassess the targets and the stops on every single trade. It will only go in the direction of a strong trend. So you may be on the sidelines a little bit more in a choppy market, but that's kind of where you want to be anyway. All right, I'm going to go ahead and say it's about that time to start wrapping up this portion. Adnan, what I'm going to ask you to do, if you wouldn't mind, is I'm going to keep the webinar open for a few more minutes and ask that you maybe just type in some more answers as some of the final questions come in, so I can let some of the other coaches jump on the different calls I'm sure we're getting. So sure. If you can do that. Any closing comments that you want for everybody before I hand off the webinar to the Q&A?
Well, I'm just excited about starting the training, getting in with the traders, rolling up my sleeves, and teaching them how to be profitable traders. It's about time we all start making money. It's just I'm so excited for this.
Excellent. No, I really appreciate it. I know that's one of the things that Coach A has been looking forward to. Loves working with traders like all of you, so I think it's going to be an amazing experience after you get started. I mean, like I said, the real fun happens, starting tomorrow. So definitely get involved, stick to the training, don't use too much leverage. Please be smart, and you're going to be very, very happy with us and your results. So I'm going to go ahead and also say thank you to Will and Ron and Brian for all the Q&A help, and then I'm sure that they're going to be just trying to get through all the emails and different little situations that have come up. So I'm going to go ahead and mute the mics, but Adnan's going to hang in here for a few more minutes, and he'll be typing back answers on the questions. Take care, everybody, and thank you very much.